I am honored to be talking to Peace Adzo Medie. Peace, you are a writer and a scholar specializing in gender and international politics. Your work has won multiple awards. Your book, Global Norms and Local Action, The Campaign to End Violence Against Women in Africa, was published in March of 2020 by Oxford University Press. And then your debut novel, His Only Wife, was the October pick for Reese's Book Club and Mary Claire's Book Club. So I mean, I could go on and on. New York Times Editor Choice Notable Books of 2020, a Time Magazine Must Read of 2020, just to name a few. So first of all, congratulations on all of your success and welcome to the middle.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So first of all, when do you sleep?
So that's a good question. And what I tell people is my life when I was writing His Only Wife is different from my life now. Because I had this ridiculous writing schedule where I'll wake up at 4 a.m. to write fiction. And around 6, I would switch to my nonfiction and my academic work. And that was just not, you can't do that long term. And so I'm no longer living like that. These days I get enough sleep and I limit my fiction writing to the weekends.
Okay. So is fiction writing your happy place then? Is that like your fun time? Or, I mean, it's still work, but.
Yes, it is work, but it's very much my happy place. So I reward myself with fiction. So I tell myself, if you're really good this week, if you grade all the papers you're supposed to grade and do whatever else you're supposed to do, then you get to write fiction over the weekend.
I love that. Okay, so first tell me a little bit about His Only Wife, a brief synopsis without giving anything away.
Yes. So His Only Wife tells the story of a young woman in Ghana, Afi, and Afi finds herself in an arranged marriage to Eli. He's a really wealthy man, and this marriage has been arranged by Eli's mother because she doesn't approve of Eli's partner. And so on one level, we get to see Afi undertake this really difficult task of bringing Eli closer to his family. But on another level, it's a story about one woman's path to independence and just finding her voice.
I love it. And it's so good. It's so entertaining. So what inspired you to write this at this point in your life?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I began writing this book around 2012, but I began thinking about it like a year or so earlier. And there just weren't enough books about Ghanaian women or African women or Black women more generally, just living regular lives. And just doing regular, normal things like falling in love and thinking about their career and relationships. And I just love such stories in books, but also on the screen. And so I just decided to write that. But also, as a researcher, I do work on violence against women. And when I did my field work, I worked in Cote d'Ivoire and Liberia, 2 post-conflict countries. And something that I discovered was that a lot of women stayed in abusive relationships because of the pressure they received from relatives and friends. And so that really got me thinking about how the pressures that we face from the people around us shape our relationships and determine the kinds of things that we do in our relationships. And I wanted to explore this in fiction.
I love that. Now, you mentioned seeing these stories on the screen. Did you write this with the hopes of having it adapted to the screen? And are there any talks of an adaptation?
Absolutely. When I was writing it, I can't remember at what stage, but quite early, I told my agent, I was like, Afi needs to be on the screen. I want to see Afi come alive
yes.
on the screen. So I was thinking about it really early on, and my fingers are crossed that it's going to happen.
Well, you have to let me know as soon as you do.
Okay.
You have so many accolades, and when you look at the things that you're doing and the things that you've done, what are you most proud of?
That's a great question. I mean, there are a lot of things that I'm proud of. What am I most proud of? It's hard to pin down one thing. what I would say is that I'm proud of this book. So I grew up, so in the book, Afi grows up in the small town Ho, and that's the town in which I grew up. And I've never read a story, a book set in Ho before. So I'm just really happy that I wrote this book. And this is not to say, I guess, no books have been written about Ho, just that I've never seen any of them to read. And I'm just happy that young people growing up are going to open this book and see a place that is so familiar to them, right? And for a lot of people, it will be the first time that they are seeing, their hometown in a book, and that they are seeing familiar streets and familiar food. And that is something that I'm really proud of. So, young people who are reading this, unlike me, who didn't have this opportunity, they would have this opportunity to see themselves in a book. And that makes me very happy and
I
proud.
love that. And that is so true. Like, even when I read about New York City or Philadelphia, where I grew up, which are major cities, I still get that, like, oh, I know that. It does give you that familiarity and that nice, like, identifiable feeling. So I love that you did that. What has the reaction been like from readers? Like, what's the feedback been like for you?
People have been just so kind. It's one of the I think it's one of the best parts about publishing a book, because writing this book was a very, for the most part, I did it alone. My sister would read chapters as I wrote, but I
Okay.
didn't really have like a writing community. So it's just been really nice that the book has come out, and I've heard from readers, and I've even got to meet other writers, which is really nice. And the feedback has just been just lovely. I mean, I've especially enjoyed hearing from Ghanaian women who have read the book and like, oh my goodness, this is our book. Like, someone said, Peace wrote this book for us. And it just made me so very happy that, Ghanaian women have read this book. Ghanaians in general have read this book, and many of them have had such positive reactions. But then a lot of people have also just said really nice things about the book.
And to make all of these lists, I mean, what was that feeling like for you and how do they tell you? Do they call you? Do they send you an email? Like, how does that work? Does Reese Witherspoon call?
Well, so with Reese Witherspoon, and I mean, the Reese's Book Club, they are just amazing. The people behind the scenes, but also the people who just read a book in the community. They're just the most amazing community of book lovers. So Reese's Book Club actually contacted my publisher first. So
Okay.
my publisher knew, and then they told me. So it wasn't like out of the blue.
Yeah.
But well, it was out of the blue because I wasn't expecting it. But yes, that's how I found out. With the other lists, you just, I guess, log onto the internet and then you find it. With the New York Times notable list, I was on a Zoom writing group meeting. So I'm writing a book on women in Ghanaian politics.
Mm-hmm.
So my co-author and I and the third colleague were on a Zoom meeting, and my friend like looked it up online and sent it to me, and I didn't even bother to check the phone because I was just focused on the meeting that we were having. But anyway, so that is how I found out about the New York Times, and of course I was just thrilled.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, so you said you write fiction on the weekends. It's a treat. So that does that mean there's another fiction novel on its way from you?
Yeah, so I finished the second novel,
Okay.
and I hope it comes out someday.
Okay.
And
And
I'm working on the third.
well, we look forward to seeing what's next. If people want to follow you, what is your Instagram handle so I can put it up on the screen?
It is, gosh, Peace Medie. So it's just my first and last name, I believe. Yeah, at Peace Medie.
Okay,
That is
perfect.
it. I'm not an Instagram pro. So this book publication has forced me to learn about Instagram, because I
Uh-huh.
had to do things like Instagram Live, and I was just terrified. It's like, I hope I don't press the wrong button.
I mean, this year has forced us all to learn a lot of techie skills that we were not aware of before. So
Yes.
I give you credit. But keep doing all of the wonderful work that you're doing, and we look forward to seeing what's next. Again, everybody read the book. It's amazing. Peace. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for having me.